I think it's easily possible. Pricing भी test करो, lunch पे different menu दो pricing का, dinner पे different दो.
I really hope none of my diners are watching this.
And then I was with hotels. You know hotel life, and it's 10 hours and 16 hours, 15 hours. I had no life for about 2 years.
You have a life now.
Now I'm trying.
Some like restaurants I'm really close to, they've let me run the business for a day, but they've thrown me out. So Gauri, first question for you. What made you get into food?
I have to say, it's my crazy husband. I tried talking him out of it, honestly. I was like, neither of us are from the F&B background, right? So I was like, this is like the blind leading the lame. This is the stupidest idea. On top of that, we were about to get married. So my whole family they were like, firstly, you're leaving a proper, secure, professional, paid job to do something you know nothing about. And you're doing it with your future husband. This is just wrong on so many levels. But we both love food. And, you know, it was just one of those crazy ideas that like, what have we got to lose? 1 year, let's give it a shot. And I said, I'll take a year off from my job, my paid job. I'll do a sabbatical and see how it goes. In worst case, I'll go back to that. And it's ended up being a 13-year sabbatical. So.
And you, what about you? How did you get into this?
So I was studying physics. I have an undergrad in physics, and I used to sort of escape those fat books. I can't like.
I know those fat books.
Those books. Yeah, you would know. Television became my escape, and that time, you know, it was very romanticized. Nigella would come on the screen, and you know, you would feel like मैं भी आज chicken breast को खोल के उसको stuff करके उसमें कुछ डाल के I can do it, right? So I think they made you believe that you can cook at home. So all these shows, there was MasterChef Australia, and I just started cooking, and you know, we're sort of hardwired to never think of a career switch or a course shift. I was going to start applying for my masters, and then I just gave it a shot, and I applied to the Oberoi for an internship for the summer, because nobody would take me because I didn't have an MSc or a PhD to be able to, you know, assist in a lab project or something. So I said, okay, this is great. I started working, and the chef, you know, he was very happy, and he handed me a knife. And I think that's I felt very extremely validated that मेरे को अब knife मिल गया, अब तो I have to become a chef. So I sort of broke it to my parents, and it sort of took them a weekend. Like I told them on a Friday, they started flipping out. And by Sunday it settled, and by Monday we started looking for culinary schools.
Oh, you had it easy.
Yeah.
I had a whole intervention with my family where they tried to talk me out of it for a bit.
I actually didn't even tell anyone. Parents found out about a year and a half into it that I had quit my job and I was doing this.
Yeah.
So there was no winning that with them.
So I'm the eldest, right? So they didn't know on their own, you know, they didn't know how to navigate it. So and my mom had sort of saved money for the three of us. I'm the eldest of three, and for our masters. So she's like, you'll do your undergrad here because you're going to change your mind. And that's exactly what all three of us have actually done. And she said, I'm not spending crores on a foreign education. Yahi padho. And then when you change your mind, and if you're genuinely inclined, then we will send you. So we had money saved for our masters. So I didn't do a master's technically. I went for a culinary course. And that's how I started. Then I was with hotels. You know hotel life, and it's 10 hours and 16 hours, 15 hours. I had no life for about 2 years, and then I started.
You have a life now.
Now I'm trying.
As an entrepreneur, I have to learn from you.
Well, that's how I also thought, I work so hard. When I start up, at least I will be like the master of my own time and I won't work that hard. I'll have a chill life. No chance. 15 years in, I got my first week off about a couple of months ago. So that's
Yeah.
that's
So
a
no
good life.
vacation,
No vacations. You don't. I mean, if you start your own business, it's not.
Exactly.
It is actually much harder than working for someone else.
And I actually feel this is something that a lot of people don't really understand about. There's this thing now, especially because food has become so glamorous, or the food business and getting into it. And, now food is a form of entertainment, right? Food and drinks. And so everyone wants to open their own restaurant. I mean, I think that was my husband and his midlife crisis, but it's even more, right? But a lot of people just don't get that side of it.
It's a very hard business.
They see the fun and glamour, but that's maybe 5% of what it actually is.
I think even for the glamour part of it, you have to work hard because it's like a minute or two in between where you have to show up for the cameras and say, hey, I opened this restaurant. But there's so much stress and noise going on in your head that, hey, the kitchen is breaking, this hasn't come, that hasn't come. Running a restaurant is one of the hardest jobs, I would say.
When people say it's like any business that you own, any business you start is going to be stressful, challenging, all of that. But actually, this is one that is, at least for the restaurants, it's 24/7. There's no day off.
Yeah.
And it's not something that you can just be like, oh, I'll work Monday to Friday. It's all starts going downhill on a Friday usually.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is, I think, makes this industry quite unique.
And weekends and any like festivals, restaurants are the ones which are working the hardest. So you can't really vacation with your family when everybody else is off. You are the ones who are working. So yeah, it's a very tough business.
But we were told in culinary school that you're choosing to become a pastry chef, right? And when do people remember you? When they're celebrating with it. And there is this grand beauty, that people will remember me when they're celebrating, or unless they've had a very bad breakup and they're ordering an entire cake to drown themselves into. But I realize that I'll never enjoy a festival. I'll be working, I love Diwali. I'll be working Choti Diwali. There are going to be no cart parties. It's over. And I tell my team, I'm like, I get these new interns and like these young people. I'm like, it's a life decision. Because, today you're working for me. Tomorrow you're going to work for yourself, maybe. Let's hope so. And can you handle this? Because we still feel we can't enjoy the festive season at all. Like now it's like Mother's Day also, there's Father's Day. I mean, it's great business, but yeah, there's no escaping that. Yeah,
weekdays are the best. Weekdays are the calmest.
But for you guys, psyche of approach to work now compared to when you started and your sort of work values. So it's not about them having their own businesses, but just as team members, are the expectations very different from when you started? Because that's something that I'm beginning to see. And when you were saying about working holidays and working sort of through every weekend or festive, special, occasions and things, is that something that you're grappling with at all?
Yes and no. And I would say that 15 years ago, we used to be clear that these are the kind of people we want. And the kind of people we want hasn't changed over time.
Mm-hmm.
But what we had to actually filter out has kept on changing. So, I mean, yes, we have to filter out different things now than what we used to earlier.
So it's more for you to filter out rather than evolve your expectation?
Fundamentals are the same. We want people to work hard. We want people to have the kind of ownership towards their own work and towards their own growth. If they don't have that, how will the company work? So
I mean, in theory, you're right, but it seems to be a big challenge today. Is that not something?
I mean, I think the hit rate is almost the same. So earlier we used to hire 1 out of 25-ish people. Right now it's the same. And 1 out of 25 are the people who we actually interview face to face. So the hit rate is the same. Earlier we used to say no for different reasons. Now we say no for different reasons. And every like business would need a certain kind of DNA of people to work. Restaurants need something else, tech would need something else, and there'd be some kind of overlap in everything. So every like business has to find its product market fit in a way, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the people that you want.
And I think, like, you're saying it's food is glamorous, and being a chef is very glamorous, and there's this rosy picture around it. But actually, when you have to stand on your feet, when your friends are posting, they're playing tash on Diwali, and you can't go because your hamper order is going out. That the kitchen is full of hampers. You can't. You need to process that, and there's a learning curve in these years. Is what I tell my team, because until you're not going to pipe 50,000, 1 lakh macaroons in your life, you cannot call yourself a pastry chef, because culinary school doesn't make you a pastry chef or a chef, right? There's this hard safai. You have to do it. You have to pipe those eclairs. And I'm saying, and I encourage them to take their time, and to really see if it's for them. But sometimes when it comes to the actual groundwork, they don't want to put in that work.
That's what I mean. That, I'm finding that the route to whatever it is becoming sort of faster and faster, and putting in that legwork is just not expected anymore. Or not expected, it's just not being done anymore.
I think it was never actually expected en masse even 10 years ago. Even right now, it's the same. So, one out of those 100-ish people still know that they need to put in the hard work. So, I think we need to identify that faster and easier. So, there are enough Gen Z who really want to do well, who are actually grounded, who are like super smart than what we used to be when we were their age. There's so many things going on for them as well, but not for everyone. So rather than trying to generalize, I think we have to handpick the right people who will actually make it. And that's true for every like business, right? That's true for every business every time.
So what's next? Who's the coolest person you've met in like the entrepreneur world?
Entrepreneur, I don't meet many people here. I don't think I've met many people.
Or who like inspires you today? I mean, you've reached this like crazy sort of place in, business.
I don't think like even when I was 10 years old or 20, like I don't think that question has ever made sense to me, because you have different things to learn from different people. So when you put somebody in the box of, yes, this person inspires me, I think I would tend to start idolizing that person, and then I would also learn from all their faults. So I've never been into idolizing somebody or getting inspired by somebody. I'm more into the zone of, hey, this person said this thing which was very cool. This makes sense. This makes sense. This person said this thing which made a lot of sense.
So it's a collective of things
Yeah.
that maybe you like to hear, and
More about the content than about the person. Or
yeah.
we started this business as a one-person shop, and things happen to us. I actually think we like give ourselves too much credit for wherever we are, because generally we don't happen to things. Things happen to us, and like good things happen to us. And we also had the courage to be at the right place and at the right time. So life got here.
I think that's actually the crux of it, what you said, having courage, because we all are smart enough to identify opportunities, but taking that risk is a whole different ball game. And I'll give you an example of something we're going through. So we will celebrate 13 years of the table, and I was doing a tasting the other day, and I just said, I want to change the entire menu, like 180 degrees. So there will not be a single thing, from and not to be radical for the sake of it or anything, but just because it's been long enough. I mean, am I still excited going to and that's what I use as a benchmark for any restaurant, is that, am I still thinking about the meal the next day, and can I eat here every day? and I don't feel like that anymore. And so we, are going through this sort of process now of putting together a new menu. And I've been kind of, I think, out of just fear of doing it in some little way, been kind of just telling people, like our regulars, that, oh, by the way, we're going to be changing our whole menu. And they're like, great, would love to see. But,
Can you
keep
this?
that, right? And so basically between everyone that I've talked to, there's, half the menu can't change, but then you'll have people saying, and so Jay and I, we've been like really deliberating this in the sense of whether we should keep some things. And I'm just like, no. And he's like, you used to always say no to me for everything. And today you're the one, taking a pretty like drastic measure, because if it doesn't go down well with people, you pretty much, probably lost them, right? People aren't going to come and give you like second and third chances anymore. There's enough choice out there. But I do feel like that risk and, having the courage to do things is where you really grow. Not about growing as a number of places that you do, or like how many people you hire necessarily, but also just as a business, as a brand. And you might think that, oh, we were in the right place, right time. For you, I think that about us as well. But to actually have been in that place took a step, right? You had to take a decision to do that, and you are an industry leader in your space, and people said that about us at one point, that what things that we did in terms of the kind of food, etc. No one had done it before, or whatever, and I think that's what it comes down to, that you want to be ahead of the curve, and you don't necessarily know what it is. You don't have a crystal ball, but that's what I think gets me excited today, is that taking that risk, not for the sake of it, but just because it's no fun being safe.
But I think courage has to also come from the side of fear. If courage comes from the side of foolishness, then it's a very, very, very damn thin line, right? So it's like very thin line. And I mean,
but how do you know?
You never know. Yeah, it's a
That's
this is a very hard one
scary.
too. This is very scary.
I think over time, I think you build that expertise, and you build that. I think you start learning how to make the correct decisions. You're not like I was way more foolish, maybe even last year. Like every year is there's personal growth, and I think our businesses, it's you're learning every day. Like there was nothing the same. It wasn't the same last year. It wasn't the same last quarter. Every time it's different, and you have to keep evolving. So I love the idea. By the way, it's scary.
I hope you love the food as well when you come.
Scary. I have these. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, "Sab kuch change kar do," and then I'm like, "No, we have one cake on the menu. It's a dark chocolate and salted caramel cake, and I call it my rosy roti." So if I remove that cake, even if I changed like a layer, I think it would upset maybe 60% of my audience. So
I think the upset happens like for a bit, and if you give them something, that's what I've been sort of talking to myself.
But I think, why can't you keep 5 dishes or 1 dish when you like?
Because I don't know. That's a really good question. That's what we've been asking ourselves.
Put it under the legendary menu at the end or something like that.
So, do you think we should do that?
Yeah.
Maybe we should. I don't know. Risk averse रहना चाहिए थोड़ा सा business में.
Says the most like.
I am a very risk. I don't take many risks. So genuinely, so risks फालतू के मतलब क्यों ले रहे हो? 5 dishes डाल दो end में, and then you can start taking them out eventually. It could be a 3-month process. See, in like you have a menu, you can change things easily, right? So customers also come to you day by day. So you have a slower process. We have an app. The like frequency is so high. We until about 3-ish years ago, we actually didn't have the tech to be able to run two kinds of home pages on the app at the same time.
As in the A/B testing.
A/B testing नहीं था हमारे पास framework. So until that time, I used to be like, अच्छा यार ये home page we have to change it. Okay, and the team used to be like, ये कैसे क्या? Oh, what are you saying? How can you change the home page? I was like, this is not working anymore. This is not good. This is not good for business. This is not good for customers. Intuitive नहीं है. ये वाली चीज़ करते हैं. Okay, this happened in the middle of COVID as well, like April, because COVID needed a new homepage as well. Even then, we didn't have the A/B testing framework with us. I said, okay, do it, like kar lo. But like that's the life we live. We used to live at that time, right? You live in a very easy to A/B test life.
Interesting way to think
Very
about
easy
it.
to A/B test life. आपके पास tables हैं. Give the just the new menu to 3 people on day 1. And see how they react.
First, I have to see how my chefs react when I tell them I'm going to be running 2 parallel menus that you have to
No,
prepare.
but keep a compact menu.
Old
with
favorites.
Old favorites.
Old favorites.
Yeah. But why
So
not?
and this is very easy to test. Like इस table को ये दिया, अच्छा नहीं आया पसंद ये ले ले, right? So with an app you can't do that. Like the customer drops off. You can't say अच्छा नहीं आया पसंद ये वाली app version ले ले. That can't happen. So restaurants, I mean, I think you can test these things easily. Even I think you can test pricing easily as well. So
Give one person one menu and another person
Why
They will
not?
never
another
know.
menu.
They will
Why
actually never
not?
know.
Why not? I think the restaurant industry is way too afraid to experiment as fast as it can. The whole industry is built to be able to experiment so fast, but things change way more slowly than they should. So just my outsider but slightly
Very
insider
interesting.
point of view.
I will take that back home. The
So-
flight was worth it for that.
I think it's easily possible. Pricing भी test करो, lunch पे different menu दो pricing का, dinner पे different दो.
I really hope none of my diners are watching this or listening to this.
I mean,
They'd be
see,
like, give me every menu in the
like
restaurant.
so many companies, airlines have these surge charges, correct? I mean, restaurants are a classic example of surge.
Do you
Dinner.
want people to come to
Of surge pricing.
Why not? I mean, if there
can't
are like
imagine
queues
it.
in front of you, price demand elasticity की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, correct?
We
So,
do print our menus every day, so
Of course.
Yeah,
Change
I
it for
want to
dinner.
say-
Change.
I
I think
think,
we're too actually afraid
Rigid.
of like experimenting with these things, and you can experiment with these things at such a small scale, and it doesn't really hurt. And I mean, unlike us, anything we do is like widespread. It's so hard to really experiment and change. At restaurants, you can do it table by table. You can do shorter menus. You can do bigger menus. It's so easy. If like somebody doesn't like the shorter menu, give them the bigger menu. So,
I think there should be an exchange.
love this.
Yeah, I think you should run
Keep
the
going.
table. Let's have him run a service.
I have actually done this a few times.
Yeah.
I have some like restaurants I'm really close to. They've let me run the business for a day, but they've thrown me out. But
Yeah, I would
So-
love that. I think it actually sometimes you really need fresh eyes.
For sure.
You know, sometimes I just go to like random friends of mine. I make them open my Instagram, both the Instagram accounts. I'm like, criticize it. Tell me like what do I have to change or like, and it really helps sometimes. I mean, you really have to sometimes swallow the feedback, but it really helps.
Are you
Fresh.
open to like
Giving fresh eyes.
feedback?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's
No,
my
but
job.
you never feel like it's your.
That's not true. I mean, I would like give feedback like I own it. Why else would I? I don't have any other agenda in my head. So let's do this. I would love to like come
Done.
work with you for a day
Seriously?
or two. Yeah. But and experiment and tinker with these things. See, the restaurant industry is largely being run the same way for the last couple of centuries, I would say, right? Of course, the supply chains have changed, but the whole front end of the restaurant is being run the same way. And we haven't brought in modern principles of work and modern principles of business and pricing, demand planning, all the science into restaurants yet. And I think somebody needs to take the lead, somebody needs to take charge and actually demonstrate it to the rest of the world that yes, this works. Because if somebody doesn't, nobody will.
I think there's definitely the restaurant industry today in India is just one of the most exciting places to be in. It's the way, I've seen it sort of evolve in terms of the quality of food being put out there, the number of people dining out. I mean, you see it in delivery
exploding.
numbers. It's exploding, and that's another reason
I
why
think
we
you're
can't get
talking-
out of this business,
I think
even
you're
if we
talking
want.
about Bombay because I really am like the restaurant scene in Delhi has been disappointing me after COVID. Now it's for the most part the people who deserve restaurants are too scared to put in the money. Rentals are off the hook. I mean, I'm not even comparing it to Bombay prices. That's a whole different story. But now I feel like there are just it's become this standard resto bar lounge concept now that is being copy pasted. So you have a bar. You will not have a bar program, but you'll have a bar. You will have hookah. You will have burrata. You will have
Avocado.
avocado in various
That's the
forms.
generic, format being
You'll have a
copy pasted.
mezze platter.
But I think restaurants are more in Bombay and nightlife is more in Delhi right now. I think like evolution
Yeah,
of
yeah,
nightlife
yeah.
has been better in Delhi,
Yeah.
and fine dining is more in Bombay. And I think things play in cycles. I think in the next 5 years, both these things will catch up
No,
in
but
both
just
the
in
places.
terms of people going out and the sort of interest in food.
That's
the,
exploding.
like how
That's
you said
huge.
about Nigella, right? Today it's people wanting to eat and learn more about food, and it's and chefs are actually not. I don't want to generalize, but there's a lot of genuine talent in India, homegrown talent
Yes.
Absolutely.
that just I've never seen that happen on this scale
Yeah.
before.
You have been in the industry for about 13 years now. You have been about eight-ish years.
Nine-ish.
Nine.
Nine with Miam. Before that, I mean, I was working. Yeah.
And I've been around 13, 15. I think I've never been so excited about the restaurant industry as I am right now. I mean, I think things are going really well. Of course, whenever you say things are going really well, that's the like average is going really well, and there are pros and cons and goods and bads. But I think I've never been so excited about where.
So
this is
basically,
going.
none of us are exiting anytime soon. Is the
You
is
don't
the
have a
moral of the
choice.
story? Yeah.
So already thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.